trying to find room ahead of Stefano Oldani. Still Vacek goes, but now it's Pedersen. Pedersen explodes on the front. Corbin Strong alongside him. Corbin Strong from New Zealand, but Pedersen is going to hold them all off. Win number 2 for Mads Pedersen, and with it, the Maglia Rosa. Perfection from Pedersen and from Lidl-Trek. They have done it.
After the travel day then, the longest day of the Giro to date, 189 kilometres from Alberobello to a finish in Lecce in Puglia. An opportunity for the fast men, the first probably guaranteed bunch sprint of the Giro, and a day for Mads Pedersen to prove that he can win on all terrains. Primož Roglic just looking to get through the day in one piece. The race rolling out of the beautiful town of Alberobello, and the flag dropping on the outskirts, and immediately one rider attacked. It was Francisco Munoz, the 23-year-old Spanish rider from Polti Visit Malta. Looking round to see if anyone would come with him, noting that no one would come with him, shaking his head and bedding in for a long, hot day in the saddle in Puglia. So one attacker building up an advantage that would at one point reach 5 minutes before they slowly but surely reeled him in. The first difficulty of the day was the only categorised climb of the day at Putignano, a Cat 4 climb. Munoz went over with a 4-minute advantage over the bunch, from which then Sylvain Moniquet attacked, which provoked the blue jersey Lorenzo Fortunato to follow him. Moniquet went over in second place for 2 points, Fortunato in third for 1 single point. And then at the first of the 2 sprints, Munoz was still off the front on his own. And behind there were minor placings up for grabs. Jensen Plowright of Alpecin de Koenig defending Caden Grove's position, followed over the line by Olaf Koy and Mads Pedersen, all scoring points in the Maglia Ciclamino. Munoz still frying off the front. The next difficulty of the day was the Red Bull kilometre, but before that a crash involving and delaying a number of the Lidl-Trek riders, including Giulio Ciccone and Mads Pedersen, but spelling the end of the race for the Canadian rider from Q36.5, Nick Zukowski, who had to abandon with a suspected broken collarbone. At the Red Bull kilometre then, Munoz through on his own with a 3-minute advantage, and then a battle for bonus seconds behind, going the way of Isaac del Toro ahead of Primož Roglic, who picked up 2 bonus seconds. Briefly, Bahrain Victorious then tried to split the bunch, which they succeeded in doing temporarily in the strong cross-tail winds that prevailed throughout the day of racing, but it did all come back together again. Visma Bike and Lidl-Trek restoring control on the front of the bunch as they then approached the final intermediate sprint of the day. Before that, though, they swept up Francisco Munoz, who only made it to 56.5 kilometres before he, eventually the solo attacker, was reeled in by a peloton beginning to motor. And then at the second intermediate sprint, it was a battle between Olaf Koy and Mads Pedersen. This one would go to the commissaires, who had to review the footage, declaring that Olaf Koy just about edged out Mads Pedersen for the maximum points at the second sprint of the day. Then onto the finishing circuit, and disaster for Søren Kragh Andersen and Lidl-Trek as Mads Pedersen suddenly found himself with 22 kilometres to go right off the back and having to be involved in a furious chase to get back into contention.
Picnic Postenel, Casper van Ouden, 300 metres to go at this point. It's time to unleash the fast men. Casper van Ouden, the first of them to show his hand. Ben Turner with a big charge up on the left-hand side of the road. Mads Pedersen looking for space on the right by the barriers. Paul Magnier in the mix. Koy on the other side of the road. Van Ouden is going to be Pedersen with the charge. Van Ouden takes it for Picnic Postenel, a first ever Grand Tour victory for the Dutchman.
First bunch sprint of the Giro, going the way of this young man who has a big future ahead of him. More to come from him, perhaps. The first 3 places, all going the way of the Netherlands. Mads Pedersen settling for 4th place on the stage, but still in the Maglia Rosa, albeit with a slightly diminished lead over Primož Roglic, down to 7 seconds. He still leads the Maglia Ciclamino, but on the evidence of what we've seen today, Olaf Koy has become a real threat for Mads Pedersen in that classification. Lorenzo Fortunato's lead in the King of the Mountains has shrunk by 1 point to Sylvain Moniquet, and Matthias Vacek continues in the white jersey, although Isaac del Toro has moved up into 2nd place.